Jesus' monad call. Jesus never prayed. He used this monad protocol, instead hidden. Imagine standing before a digital lock, begging it to open because you're a good person. Sounds insane, doesn't it? A lock doesn't care about your emotions or your suffering. It only responds to the correct code. Yet for millennia, humanity has been conditioned to approach the divine in exactly this way. Religious institutions call it prayer. The ancient Gnostic masters had another name for it: amnesia. They understood something revolutionary. The universe is not waiting to be moved by your desperation. It is a system waiting to be unlocked by those who know the password. There is a passage in the Gospel of John that reveals this hidden secret. Before raising Lazarus, Jesus does not kneel in supplication. He doesn't ask, "Father, please, if it be thy will." Instead, he activates a dimensional circuit. "Father, I thank you that you have already heard me." Notice the tense, past tense. Before the dead man even moves, the frequency is already complete. Christ is not asking a favor from an external deity. He is acknowledging a connection that was never broken. When he commands Lazarus, "Come forth," it's not a religious ritual. It's a metaphysical override. He is hacking the simulation of reality, the entities that govern this material realm. What the ancients called Archons, the invisible jailers of consciousness, have worked tirelessly to hide this fundamental distinction. They need you to remain in the posture of a beggar. But you're watching this because the old prayer model has stopped working. You feel static on the line. This interference is not failure. It's a wake-up alarm. Tonight, we are not going to pray. We are going to call. We're going to reconnect the direct line to the monad. But a warning before we proceed. Once you learn this mechanism, you cannot unlearn it. Reality will shift in form. If you're prepared to take this risk, then let's begin this journey of reconnection. The Archons operate through a system as ancient as it is ingenious, and their power lies precisely in you not believing they exist. They've turned their own invisibility into their greatest weapon of control. Tonight, we're going to completely expose this hidden system and give you the practical tools to free yourself from it once and for all. To execute the call correctly, you first need to delete the definition of miracle that was implanted in you from birth. Institutions teach that a miracle is a violation of natural laws, that God breaks his own rules to grant you a special favor. This is a strategic lie designed to keep you powerless and dependent. If miracles are rare exceptions, then you're just a subject hoping to win the cosmic lottery. The Gnostic masters understood the physics of the divine in a completely different way. A miracle is not a violation of nature. It is the restoration of the original true nature. Look around you now. This realm of entropy, decay, and scarcity is not the original design of creation. It is a simulation built by an inferior architect, the demiurge. As the Gospel of Philip states, the world arose through a fundamental error. You are here to correct this error. When Jesus healed the withered hand, he was not performing supernatural magic. He was bypassing the corrupted code of the demiurge and uploading the original blueprint of the monad. He was asserting that health is the true law and disease is the system malfunction. But this raises an uncomfortable question that must be faced. Why does the monad answer some calls and ignore millions of others? It has nothing to do with worthiness or morality. It has to do with signal compatibility. There are two types of consciousness occupying the simulation: the hylics and the pneumatics. Hylics are formed entirely of matter. They are part of the matrix's background code. They possess no internal link to the primordial source. When they pray, it's an external request from a character inside a video game to the console. There is no bridge. There is no return signal. But then there are the pneumatics, the chosen ones. You possess something the simulation cannot generate on its own. The divine spark. You are not of this system. You are only temporarily connected to it. This spark is your dimensional antenna. It is a fragment of the monad itself, buried under layers of social and spiritual conditioning. When a hylic prays, he's asking a stranger. When you call, you're remembering yourself. The monad does not respond to your superficial words. It responds to its own frequency, vibrating inside your chest. So stop begging the jailer for a better meal. You are the architect's child, holding the master key, standing in a prison cell that was never built to contain you. The Archons know this perfectly. They cannot take the key from you. They can only make you forget you're holding it. And the primary tool they use to induce this amnesia is manipulated language. They taught you to beg so you would forget how to command. The greatest trick the Archons ever pulled was convincing you that power lies in the words themselves. They watch you memorize prayers and chant mantras, laughing while you shout at the sky with no result whatsoever. You can stand in a cemetery and scream "come forth" until your voice breaks and nothing will rise but dust. Why? Because the call is not a memorized script. It is a state of being. To bypass the firewall of this reality, your consciousness must simultaneously hold 3 specific frequencies. These are the encryption keys: recognition, authority, and command. The first key is recognition. We need to be surgical here. Recognition is not a religious belief. Belief is for the blind. Recognition is a biological event. It's the sudden shiver down your spine when you wake up inside a nightmare and realize, wait, I'm sleeping in my bed. This monster is just a projection. The fear disappears instantly. The dream no longer possesses you. That is recognition. It's the visceral sensation of remembering that you are the monad temporarily wearing a biological suit. Once recognition locks in, you activate the second key, authority. This is where most people completely fail. They recognize their divine nature, but still speak like submissive servants. They say, "Universe, please show me." Jesus did not negotiate with the fever. He did not ask the storm for permission to stop. He operated as an absolute sovereign. Authority is not ego-inflated arrogance. It is pure physics. Matter vibrates at a low, dense frequency. You, the monad, vibrate at the frequency of the primordial source. You don't ask the clay what shape it wants to be. You tell it, not with brute force, but with the quiet certainty of the potter. The clay has no choice but to yield to the hands that formed it from the beginning. This leads us to the final key, command. True power is often silent as a whisper. Command is simply the alignment of your will with the truth of the monad. You are not forcing reality to change against its nature. You are collapsing the timeline where the problem exists and selecting the timeline where the solution is already natural law. Jesus, standing before the tomb, he recognized his divine origin. He assumed authority over physical death. He issued the command with absolute certainty. It was a circuit completion. The current flowed and the laws of entropy were overwritten. Most of you are walking around with a broken circuit, firing blanks. Today we stop shooting dummy rounds. We load the chamber with real ammunition. Now we enter concrete practice. Don't just passively listen to these words. Execute them as you hear them. The primary weapon the Archons use to block your call is mental noise. They bombard your mental frequency with constant static, anxiety about tomorrow, regret about yesterday. This is intentional interference technology. They know that if your mind is chaotic, your signal is weak and doesn't reach its destination. To call the monad, you first need to go off the air from low frequencies. Step 1. The disconnect. You don't fight intrusive thoughts. Fighting them gives them energy. You simply withdraw your attention from them. Imagine you're standing on a busy highway, traffic rushing frantically. Instead of trying to stop the cars with your hands, you simply turn your back and walk into the forest. Take a deep breath now. Let the noise exist behind you, but refuse to touch it. Step 2. The descent. Most of you live trapped in the attic of your house, trapped behind your eyes, in the thinking cerebral cortex. The monad does not live in the brain. The brain is a data processor. The heart center is the energy generator. You need to physically move your consciousness downward. Visualize an elevator inside your skull. Step into it now. Press the button for the ground floor. Feel yourself descending beyond the throat, beyond the collarbones, coming to a complete rest deep behind the sternum. This is where the throne room exists. This is where true power resides, not in the overthinking mind, but in the knowing heart. Step 3. The resonance. Rest your attention here in the center of your chest. This is the throne room. It is silent. It is vast as the universe. In this space, you don't think about who you are. You feel for the ancient signature. Ask this question internally without looking for a verbal answer. What was I before I was given a name? Don't answer it with logic. Just wait in silence. Feel the sensation that arises to meet that question. It might feel like a subtle vibration, a sudden warmth, or a sensation of immense space expanding. That presence is the monad. That is the part of you that was never born and can never die. When you feel that shift, when the frantic energy of the mind is replaced by the solid, heavy gold of presence, you are online. The line is open. You are no longer a human trying to reach a distant god. You are the infinite re-inhabiting its temporal vessel. Hold this state firmly. Without this specific resonance, words are just powerless noise. But with this resonance vibrating, a whisper becomes a universal decree. From this place of deep silence centered in the chest, you initiate the sequence. If possible, speak out loud. Voice is breath made audible, and breath is the carrier wave of life force. Here is the exact protocol. It is not a pleading request. It is a status report followed by a directive. Say this feeling every word vibrate in your sternum. Monad. I am here. I claim the authority that is mine by nature. The illusion of this limitation is dissolved. Alignment is commanded. It is done. Simple, surgical, absolute. Then comes the hardest part of the entire process. You need to let go completely. Imagine holding a heavy stone over a deep well. You release it. You don't hold on to the stone as it falls. You don't jump in after it to check if it hit the water. You release it completely from your consciousness. Don't look back. Just as Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt, looking back at the problem solidifies it in reality. Look only at the solution already manifested. But listen to me carefully now. This is where the real war begins. The moment you complete the call, the Matrix will detect a security breach. The Archons operate like an immune system for this artificial reality. When they detect a creator attempting to override their code, they send antibodies to neutralize the threat. These antibodies don't look like monsters. They look like your own thoughts. Within minutes, a wave of heaviness will hit you. You'll hear the internal critical voice. This is stupid. Nothing happened. Who do you think you are? Don't be fooled. This is not you. This is the system's backlash. It's the simulation trying to drag your frequency back down to the level where the problem exists. If you engage with these thoughts, if you start arguing with them, you disconnect the call. You abort the upload of the new reality. When doubt comes, and it will come with force, treat it like bad weather outside a window. You see the rain, but you don't get wet. You simply observe and say, "Ah, I see the interference. This means the signal was successfully transmitted." Maintain your position in inner silence. The command has been issued. The reconfiguration of reality is already in motion behind the scenes. Trust the mechanics, not the temporary mood. Once you've resisted the backlash and held your ground firmly, you enter lag time. This is the period between your command and the physical materialization of that command. Most of the chosen fail here at this critical stage. They look for the complete miracle immediately. When they don't see it, they think the call failed. But you need to understand, the monad doesn't work like a vending machine. It works like a construction crew. Before a new skyscraper goes up, the old shack needs to be demolished. You need to know how to read the feedback loop. When the monad begins to overwrite the demiurge's program, reality will start to temporarily glitch. These glitches are the receipts that your command has been accepted. Watch for 3 specific signs. The first sign is the crumble. This is the most terrifying sign. You call for abundance and suddenly receive an unexpected bill. You call for love and the relationship ends. Don't panic. This is not punishment. This is necessary demolition. You cannot install new furniture in a room full of trash. The signs of manifestation, the monad is aggressively clearing the space for your request. When things fall apart after a call, don't try to fix them. Let them burn. The faster they burn, the faster the new structure rises. They are fuel for what is coming. The second sign is the echo. You'll see numerical patterns. Las 11:11, las 3:33, but look deeper. You'll overhear strangers saying the exact phrase you used in your call. Algorithms will serve you videos answering questions you haven't even typed. These are rendering artifacts. It's reality reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Acknowledge them with a nod. Say, I see you. The third and most powerful sign is neutrality. Suddenly, you stop caring whether the miracle happens or not. The desperation completely disappears. Why? Think of it like ordering a package online. Once you click buy, you don't stand at the front door screaming at the mailman. You don't pace back and forth wondering if the warehouse exists. You know it's coming, so you go back to living your life normally. This detachment is the ultimate proof. It means your internal state has already shifted to the timeline where the problem is solved. When you feel this neutrality, celebrate. The download is complete. The physical manifestation is now just a matter of time catching up with truth. The institutions erased this teaching for a simple reason. It makes them obsolete. If you can pick up the phone and call the source directly, you don't need to speak to the middleman. You don't need a priest to translate your worthiness. You don't need a ritual to purchase God's attention. You simply need to remember who you are. The Archons and the religious systems both rely on the same fuel, your sense of smallness. They need you to believe you are a biological accident, scraping by in a hostile universe. But every time you successfully call the monad, you prove them wrong. You prove that reality is not fixed. It is fluid, and it answers to those who speak its language. You now hold the codes. The question is, will you use them? The era of the beggar is dead. The era of the sovereign has begun. Now you possess the codes. Leave in the comments, I call the monad to seal this transmission, like to illuminate the path for other chosen ones. Subscribe because we're going deeper in the next videos. The line is open.